All right, let's get into it. Today we're putting two of the biggest names in cloud identity head to head, Amazon's Cognito and Microsoft's Entra External ID. Now, if you're building an app, how you handle user signups and logins is one of the most important decisions you'll make. And these two services, they represent two very, very different ways of thinking about the problem. So, let's dive right in.
So, you're building a brand new app. Awesome. But let me ask you this. What's literally the very first thing your user is going to see? That first point of contact. It's kind of the moment of truth, right?
Yep, you guessed it. It's that login screen. And it's so much more than just a form with a password field. Think of it as the front door to your entire application. And if that door is hard to open or looks a little sketchy, you could lose a customer before they even step inside.
So, this whole field of managing your customer logins, it actually has a name. It's called Customer Identity and Access Management, or CIAM for short. And you got to remember, this is not the same as managing your employees. This is all about handling thousands, maybe millions of customers, and balancing top-notch security with a super smooth user experience. And that brings us to the two heavyweights we're looking at today. Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of how they're different, let's talk about what they have in common. And this is really important because they're both built on the same modern foundation. Take a look at this. Both of them, Cognito and Entra, they speak the same language. They both support all the big industry standards, OAuth 2.0, OpenID Connect, SAML. Now, what does all that jargon actually mean for you? Well, it means you can easily pop in those sign in with Google or sign in with Apple buttons we all know and love. It also means connecting to bigger corporate systems is totally possible. So right out of the gate, you're getting something powerful and flexible, no matter which one you're looking at. All right, so if they're so similar on the surface, where's the big showdown? Where do they really part ways? Well, it all boils down to their core philosophy. Basically, how they think about what identity even means in the first place. Okay, this is probably the most important slide. On the AWS side, they see identity as just another building block for your application. So it's super common for a developer to spin up one Cognito user pool for their main app and a totally separate one for their test environment. They're all isolated. Microsoft? Totally different mindset. They see identity as belonging to the organization. You've got this one central user directory, your single source of truth, and you use that to control who gets into all your different applications. It's a really fundamental difference, app-centric versus org-centric. And that difference in philosophy, it totally shapes how they play within their own sandboxes, the AWS and Microsoft ecosystems. This is where you really see them flex their muscles. And for many, this is the deciding factor. Cognito's superpower, without a doubt, is how it plugs right into the rest of AWS. I mean, you can connect it to your API gateway or your AppSync backend. And a lot of times, you don't even have to write code. It's just configuration. And the Lambda triggers? Oh, they're a game changer. Imagine you want to add a little piece of info, say a user subscription level, into their security token every time they log in. With a Lambda trigger, you just write a little snippet of code and it happens automatically. Super powerful stuff. Now, over in the Microsoft camp, this image really says it all. Entra isn't just some isolated identity tool. No way. It's one piece of a gigantic security suite. The real star of the show here is something called conditional access. This thing is wow. It lets you create these really smart, adaptive security rules. So you can say something like, hey, if someone tries to log in from a country we've never seen before, force them to use multi-factor authentication. Or even, if this device looks sketchy, just block the login completely. It's that kind of granular, risk-based security that's built right in. Okay, so we've seen how they think and how they integrate. Now let's get down to brass tacks. What are the big strengths and maybe some of the challenges for each one? All right, first up to the plate, Amazon Cognito. The first thing that jumps out at you with Cognito, the price tag, or the lack of one really. 50,000. That's how many monthly active users you get for free, forever. I mean, for a startup or a consumer app, that's not just compelling, that's a massive deal. We're talking potentially an order of magnitude cheaper than the competition. So let's wrap up Cognito's strengths. First, it's super cost-effective, right? We just saw that. Second, that tight AWS integration is a huge win if you're already playing in that sandbox. And third, you've got options for your user interface. You can use their pre-built login pages to get up and running fast, or you can build a completely custom experience from the ground up. But, nothing's perfect. Here's the flip side. A really common complaint you'll hear in the community, and this quote sums it up pretty well, is about the developer experience, or DX.
A lot of devs find themselves fighting with the documentation or hitting weird edge cases that just feel unpolished. It often means you're searching for workarounds for things you'd expect to just work.
Okay, let's pivot and take a look at Microsoft's offering Entra External ID. With Entra, you can immediately feel its enterprise roots. I mean, this thing is built on the exact same identity backbone that powers Microsoft 365 and Azure. We're talking billions of logins a day. So you know it's rock solid. And like we talked about, that conditional access feature is its ace in the hole for adaptive security. Plus, because it's so unified, identity management just feels like a natural, central piece of your entire cloud setup. So what's the catch with Entra? Well, all that power comes with a healthy dose of complexity. If you want to build really tailored custom login flows, you have to use something called custom policies. And, well, they're written in XML, and let's just say they have a reputation for being tricky. The learning curve is steep, and trying to figure out why something's not working can be a real headache for developers. Okay, so we've looked at them from a bunch of different angles. What's the final verdict? What should you take away from all this?
Here's the thing. It's really not about which one is better. It's about which one's philosophy fits your project. Are you all in on AWS and see identity as a flexible component you can spin up for each app? Then Cognito is probably your jam. Or are you in the Microsoft ecosystem and believe identity should be a central, secure foundation for your whole organization? Then Entra is going to feel like a much more natural fit. It really comes down to matching the tool to your architectural style. And at the end of the day, remember this. Your login system isn't just a checkbox for security. It's a huge part of your user experience. It can be a frustrating roadblock that makes people give up, or it can be that smooth, welcoming front door that builds trust from the very first click. It can literally be a competitive advantage. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What kind of experience is your front door providing?